Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with a deck list for the Extra Zero Festival. Now, this one was actually a little bit of a more difficult decision to arrive at than the Xyz Lake Festival because I gotta say, I really like summoning from the extra deck. There's not really too many decks out there that I own or even two am that thrilled to play. Like, honestly, you could build a budget True Draco or like a Fluandereeze build very easily and have some success with this event, but I didn't want to do that because I'm not going to bash those decks personally. If you like those decks, nothing against that. I just personally do not find those decks particularly fun to play. One deck that I do find very fun to play, though, is Vanquish Soul. And Vanquish Soul is actually quite good in this festival. They do have an in-archetype Link 1 monster, and it's true that without Rocco the Vanquisher, you won't be able to pull off the exact same combo lines you would be able to normally, but the core of the Vanquish Soul strategy is still very feasible here. We are playing, honestly, a pretty standard list. Your main deck doesn't really need to be that different at all in order to be good. One of the things that makes Vanquish Soul so good in this festival is the fact that they have such good, well-statted bodies that are so easy to summon, like the Caesar Valius, like the Heavy Borger. The Bestials as well are definitely among those, right? So you'll notice that we're maxing out on a playset of Ghost Spell. I know that I said in the Link Xyz Festival that it might not necessarily always be the best idea to max out on quote-unquote weird hand traps like this, but in our case here, we do definitely like seeing more of the Earth attribute because, of course, the Vanquish Soul monsters care about Fire, Dark, and Earth cards being in their hand. It's a little bit of a shame, but probably for the best, honestly, that the Cashier Fenrir is banned. That makes the Cashier package, unfortunately, not too feasible. But again, for the sake of the festival and its balance, that is probably just for the best there. You could also play DD Crow. I like Ghost Spell a little bit more as far as like graveyard hate. I don't really know how many graveyard strategies there even are in this festival, to be totally honest with you. But the other thing I like about Ghost Spell is that it can hit a lot of incidental card effects. I think we're going to see examples of that in the gameplay here, if I'm remembering right. Oh, you know what? I slotted in Ghost Ogre as a random kind of hand trap, mostly to play against with the Grosset Designator, but I'm looking at my staples here, and I absolutely should have played Courier Card Divine Carnage. This would have been a fantastic board breaker for this event. That's also within the Fire attribute. Kaijus, you could also think about playing those as well. I did anticipate trying to some out of back row decks. That's why we're playing Duster and Heavy Storm. In this festival in particular, I think cards like that do actually end up being quite good. But yeah, no, like I said, this is by and large a pretty standard Vanquish Soul list, just minus the extra deck there. I will say Extra Zero is definitely probably just my least favorite of the festival types. And both times they've run it is just, I mean, this is true of every single festival, but both times that Konami has run the Extra Zero Festival have been so blatantly, obviously, to push a recent selection pack. Last time they did it was literally right after Fluandereeze came out. Duh. What do you think they're trying to push there? And of course, now we have Yugi's Shining Sarcophagus deck coming out. It's like, wow, look at this deck that doesn't need an extra deck or doesn't have any in-archetype extra deck monsters. Don't you want to buy it? It's like, no. But, you know, such is the way of these Master Duel festivals. What can you say? One thing I've noticed that is a little bit different about the gameplay loop for Vanquish Soul in this event as opposed to a regular ranked ladder, again, aside from the fact that you can't go into Rock of the Vanquisher, is that I'm finding myself going for the Snow Devil a lot less. Because the Rock is not able to, like, add stuff back from the graveyard, right, to hand, it makes it a little bit harder to have the 3 attributes needed to really take advantage of Snow Devil. So in a lot of my games, I end up searching for the Dust Devil. I might have even played a second copy of this card, or, you know what, I think the actual play was to play a copy of Vanquish Soul Continue. Just another search target, really, for the Dr. Madlove. I've had that come up in even ranked ladder builds, like regular ranked ladder builds, but here especially, I'd still play the Snow Devil, don't get me wrong. I would still play a copy of this card, but you don't, like, go for it nearly as often, I find, in this festival, as you normally do in regular ranked. But I mean, otherwise we're playing pretty much every other Vanquish Soul card. We're not playing Pluton HG, but I'm also not the biggest fan of this card in general. I don't think it's horrible. I just think that in terms of like hand traps and stuff, there's probably just better cards you could be playing in general. So But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this list. Why don't we go ahead and break it down card by card, because it's kind of been a minute since we played Vanquish Soul, and then we'll look at some replays from the festival there. So we're going to be on 3 Effect Veiler, 1 Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. By the way, I am playing these hand traps, the Veilers and the Ghost Ogres, even though they're light, because I do think they're good enough. Again, I probably should have played like a board breaker like Kurikara or a Kaiju instead of the Ghost Ogre. Really is mostly here for a cross-out target, but the Veilers I think I would still definitely play, even though the Vanquish Soul archetype doesn't inherently care about light. So anyway, I saw those cards, I want to make sure I mentioned that too. But, so like I said, we are on 3 Effect Veiler, 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, 3 Vanquish Soul Raisin, 1 Vanquish Soul Pantera, 2 Vanquish Soul Dr. Mad Love, 2 Vanquish Soul Xiaolong, 1 Bestial Magnum Hut, 1 Bestial Druid Swarm, 3 Vanquish Soul Heavy Borger, 2 Vanquish Soul Caesar Valius, 1 Harpies Feather Duster, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Triple Tactics Talent. We have 3 Stake Your Soul. There's going to be 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 1 Vanquish Soul Dust Devil, 3 Infinite Permanents, and 1 Vanquish Soul Snow Devil is going to round out the main deck. And of course, being the festival is extra 0, we have 0 cards in the extra deck. So there's a list. Now let's take a look at these duels. Alright, our first matchup is going to be against Yubel. Yubel is actually quite good in this festival. Highly feasible. I had a passing thought of maybe playing that, but then of course I thought about Vanquish Soul, and I was like, you know, I haven't played that yet, so I wanted to start with that one there. This deck is actually kind of a lot of the reason why Ghost Bell can be good, too. We're going to go second here. Opponent's going to lead with Lubellion into Magnum Hunt, and it actually looks like that was their only play. So pretty unlucky, unfortunate for them. Here, I'm going to start off with my Magnum Hut before I commit a body to the board, which basically is going to make that Bestial Aegis Search dead. Now I can go for Dr. Madlove, adding Dust Devil. And the only other Vanquish Soul in my hand right now is Xiaolong, so I'm really just going to go for some damage here, and then set my back rows Imperm Dust Devil Crossout, add a Caesar Valius off Magnum Hut during the end phase. I do, of course, have the potential to use Valius' effect to destroy a card here as well. Opponent's going to Nightmare Throne for the Samsara D-Lotus, but here's where the Dust Devil comes up. I'm going to throw that D-Lotus in face down defense mode. Nightmare Pain's coming down here, but since it has to activate on a separate chain link, what I can do here is I can go for Caesar Valius to bounce the Madlove to add it, and then before my opponent has a chance to even activate the Nightmare Pain, we can use the Caesar Valius to destroy it. Honestly, in terms of both this event and in terms of just how Vanquish Soul plays on Ranked Ladder as well, this is a lot of the gameplay loop. Vanquish Soul is not an explosive combo deck. It is, for the most part, going to just be about, you know, taking control of the board state. It really is a control deck at the end of the day. And you saw right here how we can play very efficiently in that regard. Didn't even need the Imperm or the Ghost Spell. We still had, of course, some more disruption going into their turn there. I'm going to draw for a turn. I'm just going to use the Caesar Valius again. Reveal my 3. Same 3, of course. And then pop the face down D-Lotus. Now I can activate the Xiaolong to summon. Normal summon Dr. Madlove. We'll activate the effect. It's going to get hit with the Ash Blossom, which does not matter even a little bit because our opponent is at 4,300 life points. And we have far more than enough damage on board. In fact, if we take a look at our damage, even if our opponent were still at 8k, we would have enough to finish them off here, with multiple hand traps to spare. We're going to try to throw out a last-ditch Druid Swarm. We are going to hit it with the Cross-Out Designator. And that is how we're going to end up negating that. And there we have it. I'm actually trying to remember. I was trying to remember just now. What? They searched Magnum Hut with Rebellion, didn't they? Oh, look at that. Untapped has a new little feature, where it shows you the total number of turns. Is that time, like total time spent playing on each side too? That's interesting. That's an interesting feature. I did not know that that was going to be a thing. Okay, what did they search with Lubellion? Here we go. It was Magnum Hut, so they had 2 different Bestials in hand. So that's also part of why I attacked in the order that I did. Like, I attacked with the Magnum Hut first, because if they were going to drop a Magnum Hut in attack mode in response to that, well, then I'd crash and still have enough damage for lethal. If they drop it in defense mode, well, I battle over it and I still have enough for lethal. That's why I did Magnum Hut first, then the Caesar Valius, wanting to make sure that my weaker monsters were basically preserving their attacks. But we definitely still had enough damage either way, so... All right, that is going to be our first duel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second one now. Okay, our opponent here is on quite the interesting hybrid of Blue Eyes as well as Shining Sarcophagus. Shining Sarcophagus, as we mentioned before, is definitely going to be one of the better types for this event by design. But the Blue Eyes is also quite an interesting idea, which that deck can also do, I think, very, very well without the extra deck. So here I'm going to Stake Your Soul for Dr. Madlove, and as you can see, I'm going for the Dust Devil, because although I can search the Caesar Valius, I'm not confident in my ability to actually maintain all three attributes, although I could have done it here. If I had used Borger to bounce Raisin instead, then I could have definitely done it, so maybe I should have, but at the same time, oh god, these draws were so good. Look at these hand traps here. Now this Darkhold does sort of negate the usefulness of my Dust Devil. Gadget Trio coming down from our opponent. I'm using Valor, not Ash Blossom, because I do know, of course, that there's a good chance they have the Shining Sarcophagus in their hand already. And sure enough, as we're going to see here in a second, they do. So as they go to activate, we're going to use the Ash Blossom. Also just generally good practice to use Valor before other hand traps, because it has a more limited window of when it can be used. Of course, the advantage of Valor is that if you get multiple copies, you can use them all in the same turn, potentially. Gonna normal summon the Madlove again here, and our opponent's just gonna concede at that. Not a long duel at all, as you can see there. But honestly, a lot of the reason I think my opponent conceded so early is that inevitability factor, which again is the hallmark of a control deck. At the core of Vanquish Soul, it really is, at the end of the day, all about just maintaining control of the board state there. Now, in this situation, I will say we were a little reliant on the Borger draws, right? Because Madlove would have added the Snow Devil, but we don't have a fire monster. So we would have bounced the Madlove for the Borger, revealed to draw on the opponent's turn. There's actually a pretty decent shot that we find a fire monster there. We play enough of them, and even if we don't, it almost certainly would find, if not more hand traps, more follow-up plays. In terms of the disruption front, we would have had Ghost Spell and Dust Devil going into their turn. I would not have been that afraid. Although I will say I think our opponent conceded a little bit early here. I think that they could have easily found a board state where they could have gotten ahead, but it might have just seemed like a bit of an impossibility to them. Who knows? Anyway, we have one more game we're going to finish off with here. Let's check out that one. And our final opponent is going to be on a Shining Sarc hybrid deck as well. This time, however, they are combining it with the Horus engine. Now, Imseti was limited. I think that was the only hit to Horus, but it's still, of course, quite the blow to the deck. Again, you know, Konami being pretty blatant about what they want you to use in a extra zero event. Alright, so we're going to go for the Raisin. Opponent's going to Ghost Ogre. Not the response I was expecting, but we do have the Borger, so we can save the Raisin with that. This tag-out mechanic from hand to field is quite great for dodging disruption, just like Ghost Ogre and Valor and Impermanent, all that kind of a thing. So, gonna use Borger here to actually reveal Earth and Fire for the burn, because I don't have another Dark Monster in hand. I would prefer to get draws, but the burn is also not bad at all. And there's quite a few games where Borger Burn is actually just your win con. Our opponent's going to try to use Future Silence here. I'm going to use an Ash Blossom to stop that. A little worried about them just dropping the Shining Sarc from hand, but we also have the Valor to hit whatever their normal summon is. So, plus they've already taken 3k. It's not an insignificant amount of damage. So here, I'm going to use the Caesar Valius as they are using the Imseti. But the problem is, again, I don't have a... Well, this time I lack an Earth monster, which I failed to realize initially. See, this is something that you really have to keep track of when you're playing Vanquish Soul in your head, is you not only need to keep mind of what attributes you need in hand and on field, but how that's going to change as you're summoning stuff. I made the classic blunder of, ingraining this idea into my brain that I just needed dark in my hand, and then I would have all 3 attributes. Because in my mind, oh, I already have Earth because of Caesar Valleys. I've already checked off that box there, right? Ticked it off. But now it's reversed. Now I need Earth and I have dark. But in my brain, I'm like, no, now I have dark in my hand. Now I have all 3. It's a very, very... Taking mental shortcuts can often be at your detriment. So here I'm going to Veor the Imseti to see if I can bait some kind of a response. But with the Shining Start coming down, there's really not going to be too much more that I can do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and concede. Because, I mean, at this rate, I don't know. I could have stuck it out one more turn, but the Shining Stark engine is going to be online. That's going to be like because they could Gadget Trio. I think Gadget Trio can add Gandora. I think it can. And then Gandora should be a path to lethal right there. But I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm not the most familiar with the Shining Stark archetype. Maybe I could have lived. Maybe I couldn't have. I was not super confident either way. Even if I didn't die this turn, the follow-up turn was going to be devastating, and then I'd probably just lose there. So, yeah, sorry this is a little bit of a shorter one. These games are a little bit shorter than I remember them being. So, yeah, apologies for that. But all the same, I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I do want to thank you, as always, ever, for watching. That is going to go ahead and do it for this one, though. So let's move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.